Welcome back. Today we're discussing again anxiety and another area of our life that we can hopefully use to decrease our anxiety so we can increase our ability to be the healthiest version of ourselves that we can be. And we're going to do this working through emotional triggers, and we're going to understand how to soothe and reclaim our peace again. Have you ever had a moment where something small, like someone's tone, a text, or a memory, suddenly sends your nervous system into overdrive? That's an emotional trigger. And when you live with anxiety, triggers can feel constant. They can be confusing at times, especially if maybe we don't want to react that way. And they can be overwhelming. But there is some good news here. Of course, you can learn to work with your triggers rather than live at their mercy. So today we're going to explore how to name emotional triggers, how to understand our reactions, how to explore the deeper roots, hold space for emotions, and calm the nervous system after we have been triggered. And so what's one area that we can start working towards decreasing our emotional triggers? Well, that's just naming our emotional triggers and understanding our reactions, first of all. So emotional triggers are situations, they are people, they are experiences that have activated an outsized emotional response. So that means that our response to what's going on externally is out of proportion to what it probably should be in the moment. And so we need to understand what happens here. So often it's tied to something deeper and something that has been unprocessed for us. And they sound like, why did that bother me so much? I feel like I'm 10 years old again. And I know it wasn't a big deal, but I can't stop shaking. So let's name your triggers, and that can perhaps give us some clarity. Some examples are criticism, being ignored, feeling trapped, sudden change, someone raising their voice, right? We're naming those individual things externally that trigger an overreaction from us. And once you can say, this moment reminds me of something deeper, you create a gap between stimulus and reaction. And so understanding your reaction means asking, what am I really feeling underneath the surface here? What story am I telling myself about what just happened? And does this response match the moment, or does it feel older than it is? And this is not about blame, it's about compassionate and awareness. And again, the first step is always going to be, we need to be aware of what's going on for us to even be able to change it. So another area we can work on decreasing emotional triggers is we can explore the roots of them and hold space for those emotions, right? We don't need to just ignore them because that's not going to help us. So behind every trigger is a story, often an old one. And sometimes your body is responding not just to this moment, but to something that happened years ago. So maybe your parents yelled at you. Maybe there's a moment of rejection, or maybe a time when your needs just were not met. And your nervous system does remember this, even if at times our mind has forgotten about it. So ask yourself, when else have I felt this way? What part of me is trying to protect itself right now? And what did I need back then that I can offer myself now? So this work of inner reparenting, meeting yourself with compassion instead of shame. And this is a lot of work to do because you're going back, right? We're kind of taking a deep dive into what would have happened in our past to create such an overreaction today inside of us. And it's not an easy path to go down, because even going down that path, we can get oftentimes triggered. And so things that wouldn't have set us off are maybe setting us off now because we're doing our deeper dive. But it's really important that we do the deep dive. We don't have to sit in the past, of course, that's not what we're saying, but we're saying do the deep dive so that you understand where your behavior and your reactions are coming from, so that you can start the path to change, and so you're not stuck in this cycle that I'm hoping you don't want to be in, because it would probably be very uncomfortable maybe it's comfortable, but we're getting a lot of negative responses from it instead of positive ones. And so now, instead of pushing your emotions away, try holding space for them. Name them out loud, right? I am feeling angry. I'm feeling panic. I am feeling shame. Place your hand over your heart or your belly. Say, this is hard and I'm still safe to feel it. The nice thing about hopefully it being in the past and you're not actually living in a current situation that is chaotic is that you're in a safe space to dig through this stuff. If you are in a situation that is chaotic and unsafe, then I always encourage to get out of that so you can start moving forward in life. So emotions want to move through you. They don't really want to control you. Holding space lets them do just that. And so what's another area that we can decrease our emotional triggers? Well, we can calm our triggered nervous system, right? So when we are in the moments where we are reacting, we have some tools with us to utilize. So after a trigger, your nervous system is in survival mode, and that could be fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And your heart may race, your chest may tighten, or your mind might just go blank. And so the goal here is not to get over it, right? It's to gently regulate and return back to safety. So tools that can calm a triggered system. You can breathe. So try again the 4-7-8 breathing or the hand on heart breathing. Cold water, splash your face or hold an ice cube in your hand. Grounding. Look around and name 5 things you see, 4 you can touch, 3 you can hear, and then there's a 2 and 1 to that. Or you can always look to see, is there something green in the room? Then how many other things are green? Or white? How many other things are white in the room? Movement. Shake your arms, stomp your feet, walk slowly and intentionally. Soothing voice. Tell yourself this feeling is allowed and I'm safe now. It helps to create a trigger response plan, a simple checklist you can use when emotions run high. So try writing this. When I feel triggered, I will. And my go-to grounding tools are, and the reminders I need most in that moment are what? And again, it's important that we do this before we're even triggered so that we have the tools that we need to pull from. And to understand that they're there to utilize. And of course, we want many tools, like the examples here. Some of them were moving and some of them where you could just be sitting there. And there are times where we can't move. So we actually do need tools where we can just sit there and use them in those moments. So remember, the goal isn't to never get triggered, because we're all going to get triggered, right? It's to come back to yourself faster with more compassion each time. And so to kind of recap, we are naming our emotional triggers so we can recognize them with clarity. We're going to understand our reactions by asking what part of you is seeking safety. We're going to explore the roots with curiosity, not judgment. We're going to hold space for our emotions instead of pushing them away. And we're going to regulate your nervous system with gentle grounding tools that remind your body that you are safe now. Healing doesn't mean that you never get triggered. It just means your recovery gets softer, faster, and more empowering over time, which is very true. A lot of times when I see clients, and a lot of times when I see kids or teens that have had something horrible happen, they'll work through it and they'll be done, or even adults will and they'll think they're done. And I always say, well, you may find that you do get triggered, or something in your life occurs and you're put back into that same moment. But hopefully in the future, you have the tools now that you will need then. And then you will have put enough work in that you won't have to go back to that same place of overreaction or, maybe just seeking comfort in your home and not going out because of the external triggers. But also, like seeking therapy, again, when you do get triggered is not a bad move because you may need it, although it may be a shorter time frame than you did in the beginning. And so it's always just we're a work in progress. And so everything in our life is a work in progress, and it all takes time to work through. And so you're not broken, you're healing, and you're learning how to hold yourself with grace. So here is the favorite part. It's the comment part, right? It's the comment section where you get to drop a comment and get the conversation started on emotional triggers. Do you have a lot of them still? Have you been able to work through them? Did you work through them, and are you kind of going through it again right now? Drop a comment below. Love to get the conversation started. And of course, here comes the other part where there's a journal that I created to go along with these videos or the other videos I've done, and I am also working on an anxiety journal. But this one is on self-love, self-discovery, and self-discipline. And it all starts with you. And so self-love reminds us that we are worthy not someday, but right now. Self-discovery invites us to listen to our own voice, to reconnect with who we are really beneath all the noise. And self-discipline, well, that's the quiet commitment to keep showing up for ourselves even when it gets hard. And so this journal is really your space. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. And it's about tuning in, being honest, and holding space for your healing, your growth, and your truth. So take a deep breath, grab a pen, and let's begin the journey together.